I've always been a fan of Formula One. McLaren's always been my favorite team. That dates back to 1988 when Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost had their epic Titanic battle. I'm definitely a blend of fan, racer, businessman wrapped into one. My leadership style, I'm enthusiastic about McLaren and going racing. I'm definitely a commercially minded racer as opposed to a technical guy, so I'm probably a bit different than the other team bosses in that sense. I try not to meddle, but I'm very engaged. I want to know what's going on. You know, I think a great racing team you hope to have a bunch of motivated individuals that don't need much motivation. Success definitely is something that gets everyone excited, and just letting them all know how important everyone's individual role is, no matter whether you're designing the car, working on the car, in the marketing department, helping bring partners to the team. My job is ultimately to get the best people in the business, get them the resources they need, give them clear goals and objectives, and then stand back and let them do their thing. So I would say I'm hands-on, but hands-off at the same time. My favorite place at the MTC's got to be the Boulevard, where you just see all the rich history and all the legendary drivers and iconic cars. So walking down the Boulevard and seeing the history, that gets me excited. Can-Am Championship, and then that's Bruce's car from '69, and then that's Bruce's first car. Small wheels and no wings, so I prefer the high horsepower stuff. But it's a cool car. You know, the drivers are the hero of our sport, and I grew up, idolizing these guys: Ayrton Senna, Mario Andretti, Emerson Fittipaldi, Nigel Mansell, Mika Hakkinen. So a lot of those being former McLaren drivers, all different eras. But those were my 5 favorites growing up watching the sport. Friends with other team bosses. I definitely know them all. I guess we're pit lane friends. Do I hang out with any of them? No. You know, you can't let your guard down. Everyone's looking for a competitive advantage, and so if you're true friends, you might share something that you shouldn't. We all share the same passion. Friends more with a couple of the drivers than I am the other team bosses. Favorite part of race day's got to be the start. That's where you got most adrenaline going. That's where it's usually my most favorite, but sometimes turn 1 makes it my least favorite. You pivot quickly. It's one thing in Formula One and motor racing is you better be ready to react and turn on a dime. It is quite stressful. You know, it's a lot of pressure, a lot of people watching. A lot of people depending on you, so you know, some things are in your control, some things are out of your control, but I like pressure. It keeps you on your A game. I'm probably 10 coffees a day. A lot of stuff keeps me awake at night. Some of it's in our control, some of it's not. You never quite know what the competition's going to do. You can't control what the competition does. So things like we're developing next year's car now, we really won't know how competitive it is till we see what everyone else has done. So that you know, usually the stuff that keeps you up at night is stuff that you can't control, and that's why it keeps you up at night. Is you can think about it all you want, but there's not much you can do about it. My favorite part is watching it all come together. You know, I'm walked through often technically how things are being developed, but half the time I'm nodding, pretending like I know what they're saying to me, but I'm not as smart as the engineers and designers in here. About 80% of the car changes from the start of the year to the end of the year. So you wouldn't recognize them by the time the year's done. So I think when it all starts to come together and you put the livery on the car, starts to really kind of bring it to life. So I'd say I'd like the finished product more than the start of the process. Very sophisticated pieces of equipment. Wouldn't want me touching a car. I wouldn't want to drive a car I touched. That's for sure. You know, I love it. I come at it as a fan, so I kind of think through what would they like to, you know, what would I have liked to hear from, you know, the previous people running McLaren, and so I try and share as much as possible.